folks, guess what? I'm back a lot faster than I was last time. And I actually have a video for you today. I actually have a new video that I've been cooking up in my brain, and things have been happening in the world that has made me cook up more things in my brain. But today we're going to be talking about concert culture and what happened to it. Because I will say, it doesn't really feel nearly as fun as it used to be. As somebody who has been going to concerts since before I was 21 years old, it's gone down a really weird route of turning into something that is unaffordable, inaccessible, far more of a sign of luxury and privilege than it used to be. And I don't know about you, but I don't really like that. I feel like live music should be accessible and something that everybody can enjoy at a price that isn't thousands and thousands of dollars. Is that too much to ask, honestly? Like, it's gotten so unaffordable. I hate it. Like I mentioned, I've been going to concerts since... I've been going to concerts since I was a kid, when I would, like, go with my parents and stuff. But, like, I first started going to gigs when I went to go see We Are Scientists at Numos in Seattle in 2008. And ever since then, I have been in love with live music. Since 2009, I've been photographing live music. So I definitely have a slightly different perspective of somebody who has gone to concerts over the last decade and a half, because a lot of the time I didn't actually have to pay to go, so I didn't really see the steady increase in how much concerts cost, because a lot of times I would be there to work, take photos, and I would get in for free. I would get tickets in exchange for photos of the bands and for a blog post on the music blog I used to write for. I know I was a little out of the loop for a while, where I was like, wait, how much do concerts cost now? They're what? They're how much? Especially festivals. Especially with social media and the rise of TikTok specifically, concerts have turned into something that I don't recognize a lot of the times, and I wanted to talk about it at length today. Specifically, diving into Ticketmaster first. I will say Ticketmaster is one of my arch nemeses. I hate Ticketmaster. I will never defend Ticketmaster against... I can't think of a reason why I would defend Ticketmaster in any capacity. They were out here selling tickets brand new at the WAMU Theater last week, and I was really mad about it. And I was like, why are people excited to see brand new? Hello? But Ticketmaster, they don't have quite a monopoly on the industry, but they have quite a stronghold on the industry, and because of that, they're able to get away with some of the most unethical business practices. They're able to get away with so much.
Earlier today, the Department of Justice, joined by 29 states and the District of Columbia, sued Live Nation Entertainment and its wholly owned subsidiary Ticketmaster for violating the Sherman Antitrust Act.
So several years ago, Ticketmaster introduced dynamic pricing. And the dynamic pricing, I think, really came to a talking point and a head back when the Eras Tour was first popping off, and first when people were buying tickets to see Taylor Swift on the Eras Tour. Dynamic pricing really became a topic of conversation when Taylor made statements specifically calling out Ticketmaster and chose not to utilize dynamic pricing so more fans could go. But Ticketmaster, being the evil corporation that it is, still managed to fuck over Taylor Swift fans by not bolstering their site's capacity for when tickets would go on sale, causing people to be in ticket queues for hours to get a chance to get tickets. And because Ticketmaster hasn't done enough to discourage resellers, tickets jumped from maybe a couple $100 to thousands of dollars within such a short period of time, taking away many people's ability to afford to go. The fact that Ticketmaster itself doesn't put a cap on how much resellers can charge for their tickets is just another BS unethical practice that they can get away with because they almost have a complete monopoly on the ticket sales industry. And since Ticketmaster has their own reseller platform, all it does is help their bottom line. Since then, there's been multiple lawsuits against Ticketmaster and Live Nation, accusing them of racketeering and collusion to drive up the prices of ticket sales. Also last year, in a letter signed by many artists written to Congress, the Fix the Ticks artist letter, they're quoted as saying, "Predatory resellers do not invest in creating a great live experience or fostering the live music ecosystem. They simply profit off the hard work of artists, venues, and the crew. In fact, resellers and secondary ticketing platforms often profit more from the artist's work than the artists themselves." I don't know if this is a hot take, but I don't think any concert ticket should be over $200. I think if you're spending over $200 on a ticket, I think the ticket sale company and or the artist and or the venue, they are being so incredibly greedy. No ticket should be over $200. When Beyonce was going on tour, those tickets were popping off. Sleep Tokens tickets were hundreds and hundreds of dollars. I think even Seattle at the Showbox, when they played here a couple of years ago, it was like $490 for the Showbox. No, absolutely not. My Chemical Romance, that was another one that when they were doing their kind of tour reunion shows, concerts kind of coming back, those tickets were hundreds and hundreds of dollars as well. And that was one that I actually did want to get tickets for, but when I saw the prices for it, I was like, I'm not doing this. I'm sorry. Like, there's not a band in the world that I can think of that I would be like, yeah, I'm gonna drop $500 for a single ticket. If it's not something that's this lavish sort of experience where there's perks and add-ons, I'm not in that tax bracket. I wish I was in that tax bracket and it could just be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna drop $500 to go see My Chemical Romance. I wish I was in that tax bracket, but I'm not. And that's kind of the problem, is that you have people being pushed out of their tax brackets, pushed out of their audience because of how expensive the tickets are getting. And there was a video that Halsey posted not too long ago after one of her tour dates, and she was kind of lamenting about how underwhelming the crowd was, and she was like, open the schools, and how nobody was dancing and nobody seemed like they were having fun. There was a response, a stitch that I saw that was like a really good kind of encapsulation of my thoughts about it, is that y'all have priced out your real fans. You have priced out many of your real fans, and the only people who can afford to go are the people who are not always going for the right reasons.
I just stepped off stage in Oklahoma. I did Is There Somewhere. Nobody moved. I went down in the crowd. Everyone was frozen. Never again. Open the schools. Open the schools!
These corporations are pricing your real fans out. You have just a bunch of people who can afford to be there at your show. You don't have real fans at your shows anymore. And this is not a Halsey exclusive thing. This is everybody.
Some people are going for status because they're like, oh yeah, I have all this money and I'm going to go do this. Influencers go to concerts just for content. And I'm not going to tell somebody how they can and cannot spend their money. Like, I'm the first person to be weird about my favorite band. I literally traveled to San Francisco. I drove to San Francisco in 2 days to see my favorite band, We Are Scientists, in 2010 to go hang out with my friends because it was the only all ages date. They were playing on the West Coast and my friend wasn't 21 yet. It was amazing. It was fantastic. I love traveling for shows, but those tickets were like maybe $35. Like, I love the idea of traveling and going out and doing these big things to go see your favorite band and really, really embracing that and living your best life. But that should be something that you have the option and the opportunity to do if you have the means to do so. It shouldn't be something that's expected. And I think that's what's the problem now, is that so much of this like showing off, proving your fandomness, proving how big of a fan you are, proving how devoted you are, has turned into a contest. And that's not really the vibe. That's not really the vibe that I really want to go into concerts with. On the topic of Ticketmaster specifically, because of how expensive it is, thankfully there have been some bands that have been clapping back at Ticketmaster. Specifically last year, The Cure, when they went on tour, they specifically said that Ticketmaster's dynamic pricing is a scam driven by greed. And actually Ticketmaster, against the wishes of Robert Smith and The Cure, they charged additional fees on top of it. And Robert Smith was like, no, Ticketmaster, please give partial refunds to every person that bought a ticket to our shows, because we want the tickets to not be this dynamic pricing.
What pissed me off most was that I had spent an awful lot of time ensuring that we were selling like $25 tickets, because I wanted younger people to be able to afford to come and see us. And then they were loading those tickets. They were charging more in fees and more in like and all this other stuff. So we didn't allow dynamic pricing because it is a scam, you know, and every artist could just say, I don't want that, and it would disappear.
It's not something that's on all the time. Like, bands have the option to not do that. Bands have the option to not do the dynamic pricing. And why aren't more of them doing that? The artists have the power, the fans don't. On top of spending hundreds of dollars for a concert, so many tours nowadays and so many like social media campaigns about going to see particular tours is about like the themes and the costumes and the outfits and the color schemes. I'm all for dressing up and like getting fancy to go to a concert. I love picking out my outfits to go see shows. It's one of my favorite parts of getting ready for a concert. It's like, oh, what am I gonna wear that I don't get to wear to work? I love that. But specifically during the Beyonce tour, fast fashion brands were coming out with silver clothes at like an alarming rate because the whole theme and the whole color scheme was silver. So you had people going out and buying specifically silver clothes for that tour to wear maybe one time. And I'm sure that there were some people who did stuff with clothes they already have, obviously. I saw plenty of that. But the fact that there was like a market for fast fashion brands to specifically release clothes specifically for concert tours that people were going to, like, that's just more capitalism on top of capitalism. It's like, I hear you like capitalism. Here's some capitalism with your capitalism. Like, why do we need to be going out and buying whole new outfits specifically to match this one tour date? And then people who are going to multiple tour dates, they would have like multiple outfits that they would go and invest all this money into. So while all these parts of going to concerts, they're not bad in themselves. Like, yeah, go out, put an outfit together. Great. Travel for your favorite band if you want to. That's awesome. But that shouldn't be what is expected of everyone going to it, because I'm weird about my favorite band. I literally saw them in Portland and Vancouver and Seattle 3 days in a row because I'm weird about my favorite band. I don't do that about every band. Please, I don't have the energy for that. And that's the thing that's kind of sad seeing, is that you have people wanting to go see these concerts and wanting to go see their favorite band, but they can't afford it. Or they get there early during the day beforehand, but there's already somebody who's been sitting out for 2 days and they can't get up front where they want to sit.
I feel like everyone, no matter their stature, deserves a place to go.
Which brings me to what I've been seeing lately, which has been so surprising and so exciting. Bands finally doing something different. Specifically, kind of the catalyst for me making this video was A, all the conversations about like concert etiquette on TikTok, but B, the All American Rejects, a band that I grew up listening to in middle school. Okay, dirty little secret, swing, swing, that was middle school for me. All American Rejects have been doing these like DIY shows in backyards, in bowling alleys, at grad parties, the most random places you could find. Sometimes illegally. Okay, sometimes they're playing things in places where they're not supposed to, where there's like noise ordinance and they're getting like kicked out. And honestly, I love that. I love seeing that. I love seeing bands, even though their music isn't the most punk rock. Like, this is such a punk rock thing to do. And seeing videos from it, seeing millennials just lose their shit.
We're not trying to sell you finance tickets to Coachella. We're not trying to sell you Ticketmaster fucking penalty fees. We're not trying to sell you $25 parking. We're just trying to sell you some songs you might have grown up with.
And you want to know how they're telling people about the shows? You sign up for a text line and you get a text message like 2 hours before the concert. So if it's not close enough, you're not going. And I love everything about that. Honestly, house shows are some of the most fun I've ever had at a concert. And funny enough, my sister actually saw the All American Rejects in like a mall parking lot at like the Commons Mall years ago. This was like 2 decades ago at this point. Oh my god. Seeing All American Rejects come back and do this, I'm like, you know, whether or not they meant it as like the most brilliant marketing strategy or not, it is brilliant marketing strategy. It is absolutely brilliant because they're getting people to talk about them. They're not a band that's been in the cultural zeitgeist for 2 decades, but you want to know what people are loving right now? Nostalgia. Especially millennials. We want to go back to a simpler time when pop punk was all over the radio. And so seeing All American Rejects play these little house shows, I'm just like, oh my god. Like, Josh signed up for the text line for if and when they get up here. And we thought about it. We're like, should we try to put on something in our neighborhood? Our neighbors would not be happy about it at all. I don't think that would be... No. But like, I know people who've put on house shows. House shows are great. I love house shows. And also, especially during the summertime, they're outside most of the time. So it's like really cool outside. So it's not like hot and sweaty. Yeah, it's awesome. Youngblood is another artist that I have seen. Everything I've seen about Youngblood, by the way, everything I've seen about that kid, he sounds like a great dude. But he did an interview recently where he was talking about this festival that he's putting on called Bloodfest, where he's like 65 quid for 20 bands. Like, talking specifically about how he couldn't see himself playing these festivals that are hundreds and hundreds of dollars anymore, because that's not how it's supposed to be.
I feel like music really became a thing of privilege, and that should never be a thing, in my opinion. Like, you can't see artists and bands. That's how I learned things. That's how I made friends. That's how I formed an identity. And if young people can't go out, see things in the real world, and find people with ideals that are mutual to them, like, that's scary to me.
So seeing more artists like him and All American Rejects really kind of embracing doing things yourself and sticking it to the man, it makes me excited. It makes me excited to see more bands doing that, and I wish even more would do that, because back in my day, I remember when Bumbershoot was $30 a day, and you could volunteer for a few hours and get free tickets. I did that once. But concerts used to be so much more accessible, and it's really sad to see how, like specifically with Coachella, how it's turned into a fashion show, and it's like people will do Coachella looks like the Met Gala. Like, why are we treating a music festival like the Met Gala? Okay? Like, we're not all celebrities. Like, I want to be able to go to a festival, spend less than $50 a day, and have a great time, or if I want to go to the UK to see my favorite band, We Are Scientists, with my friends who I've never met in person 2 months before COVID hit the fan, if I wanted to do that, I would love to do that. I almost did that, and then I didn't because I was being financially responsible, and I regret it every day because I ended up saving money during lockdown. So I was like, oh no, I shouldn't go to the UK to see We Are Scientists. It's fine. They were getting back together and like playing shows with their original drummer, and I was like, a bunch of friends were gonna be there. It was a whole thing, and I'm sad that I didn't go. Like, I want that to be an option, but I don't want people to feel like that's what's expected of them. You are no less of a fan of a band if you pay less money to see them. You are no less of a fan if you can only afford to go to one tour date on a tour versus 6. You are no less of a fan if you get the nosebleeds versus getting in line hours and hours in advance to get to the front of the barrier. Honestly, the front of the barrier, not worth it. As somebody who has spent time at the front of the barrier, it's not worth it, because where do you go if you need to pee? You know? Like, what do you do if you have to go to the bathroom? Like, it's not worth it. You get crushed. You get crunched. You sometimes have to crowd surf out of there to go up to the front, and a bouncer has to, like, pull you out. It's not worth it, honestly. Find a spot in the back where it sounds good, where you can see everything, and you can go to the bathroom. If you are somebody like me who likes smaller festivals, likes more chill gigs. We have so many festivals around this area. It's kind of insane. Timberfest is out at a campground next month. Day In, Day Out is usually in August. And that's like a 2-day, 3-day thing that's like on the lawn at the Seattle Center. Fisherman's Village Music Festival is up in Everett, and it's like street festival sort of thing. West Seattle Summerfest, another street fest thing that's usually free. Freakout Festival, it is put on by some friends of mine, and they've been going, God, I think like 8 years at this point, but they get a lot of bands, actually from out of the country too. They get a lot of like bands from South America, which is very cool because a lot of festivals really don't feature bands like that. And so they get a lot of bands from South and Central America. And those are the ones that I definitely recommend going to. Capitol Hill Block Party is not my vibe anymore. Bumbershoot, my sister and I might go to it. We haven't really talked about it at length. Those are the ones that have kind of taken up the place in my heart since Sasquatch died back in 2018. And I made a ton of videos about Sasquatch back in the day. I'll leave a link to them up here if you really want to watch. Like, I made a video every year about Sasquatch, and I got really emotional and like sappy about it and kind of cringe. Okay, kind of cringe about it. Honestly, I am kind of glad that it ended when it did, because I think that if it had kept going and they had tried to change it to save it, I wouldn't have liked where it went. Like, they lived just long enough to die the hero, but not too long to where they became the villain. I was real sad about when Sasquatch ended. What are your thoughts about concert culture and concert etiquette? I didn't go into too much depth about concert etiquette because I didn't want to like spend a bunch of time just like shitting on people, because that wasn't really the point of this video. The point was talking about like the whole conversations and the whole way that concerts are being branded, perceived, marketed. Ticketmaster, like we boo Ticketmaster in this household. Dynamic pricing? Are you kidding me? Tickets should be tickets should be set as one price, and then they should never change. You know? And StubHub is just as bad. I didn't even go on about scalpers too much, but scalpers, we should stop normalizing scalpers. And the fact that Ticketmaster normalized scalping, I hate them. I hate them. For today's song of the day, I have one. Today's song of the day is a song from a band that I found them on TikTok, called Flawed Mangoes, and they have a song that went viral as like the soundtrack to the Hope Corps videos. And it was like this really kind of like, I don't know, artsy, cool, math rocky thing, and I was very much digging it. But then they started promoting this other song, and I was like, shoegaze? Don't mind if I do. The song's called Surreal, and it has this like really cool intro that's so boisterous and just in your face and very different from the Hope Corps song. So you should definitely go check out Flawed Mangoes. I don't know, because I haven't filmed in so long, I'm just like talking so much with my hands. I'm just like, yeah, so I feel like I need to put on nails. Oh, that'll make it worse. But anyway, let me know what your thoughts are about concert culture and concert etiquette and Ticketmaster and dynamic pricing and festivals and Coachella. And I can't ever say Coachella without saying it with like a ridiculous SoCal accent. I can't. Yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. If you would like to follow me elsewhere, I am on TikTok and Twitch, Twitter, what other, TikTok, Twitter, Twitch, Blue Sky. I mean, also Instagram, but I don't really use it. I only use it for work things. But specifically, I've been posting more on TikTok. So if you would like to see other things, especially like outfit videos, like I have this outfit that I filmed earlier, one of my favorite shirts. It's this like linen shirt from a small business based out of Tacoma. Anyway, go follow my TikTok for all my fashion takes. Okay, bye.